The media and the Democrats are having a field day over a story that the Trump administration supposedly texted war plans and classified information over a commercial text messaging app. But there's just one problem. The article in question, written by Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic, debunks itself. There is a very specific section in the article that throws cold water on the allegations he's making. So the article in question is, "The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans." Now, to be very clear, no one is denying that Jeffrey Goldberg was accidentally added to this group text. That has been confirmed by multiple sources, including the White House itself. But what we're arguing over is A, whether or not the Trump administration did text out war plans, and B, whether confidential information was sent out. But again, Jeffrey Goldberg appears to debunk himself here because in his own words, at 8:05 a.m. on Friday, March 14, Michael Waltz texted the group, "Team, you should have a statement of conclusions with taskings per the president's guidance this morning in your high side inboxes." High side, in government parlance, refers to classified computer and communication systems. I'm really surprised that no one in the entirety of the media or the Democrats have picked that line up, or even Goldberg himself, because does that not suggest that they were coordinating, communicating on Signal, but then transferred over to the high side to discuss classified information, including the war plans? Like, why would they mention the high side at all if they were indeed texting war plans and classified information on Signal? Why not just stay on Signal? The fact that they even reference the high side inboxes tells you that, yeah, they did communicate off of Signal. Yet Jeffrey Goldberg is making the rounds because, hey, he's got to make a name for himself. And, you know, how else is he going to do that unless he's ragging on the Trump administration?
Saying that nobody was texting war plans. Given you were privy to this group chat, is that how you saw it?
No, that's a lie. He was texting war plans. He was texting attack plans. When targets were going to be targeted, how they were going to be targeted, who was at the targets, when the next sequence of attacks were happening. I didn't publish this, and I continue not to publish it because it felt like it was too confidential, too technical, and I worry, honestly, that sharing that kind of information in public could endanger American military personnel. But no, they were plans for the attack. And they were texted before the attack.
And there were things texted that you viewed as so sensitive, you did not even publish them in your report today.
I made the decision that the technical aspects of this, including what kinds of weapons packages, the attack sequencing, and so on, that's not necessarily in the public interest. What's in the public interest is that they were running a war plan on a messaging app and didn't even know who was invited into the conversation. I mean, it's an obvious, ridiculous security breach. And, you know, he if you notice, he didn't actually answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of questions as to how Jeffrey Goldberg was even added to that group text in the first place. That was definitely an oversight. I am not by any means making any excuses for the Trump administration for making that simple mistake. However, in Jeffrey Goldberg's, again, his own article, he references the high side inboxes. Why would they reference that in the group text? I cannot hammer that point home enough. And I really am shocked that no one else is talking about it because, to me, it appears to debunk the exact claim that Jeffrey Goldberg is making. Now, on top of all of that, the strikes were successful. The strikes are now over. So why won't he release those texts? It's not as if he's giving insight as to something that may happen. It is now in the past. The Trump administration has now said there was no classified information on it. So why won't he back up his claims by coming forward with everything? I mean, he's already published a lot. He ran to The Atlantic to publicize and publish other texts. Why won't he do it about these supposed war plans now that it's passed, now that it's over? It just doesn't make any sense. What he does post, though, actually makes the administration look really good. And the Democrats and the media should actually be happy about these texts. So within the article, according to Goldberg, at 8:16, J.D. Vance responds, "Team, I'm out for the day, going to an economic event in Michigan. But I think that we are making a mistake. Vance was indeed in Michigan that day. The Vance account goes on to say 3% of U.S. trade runs through the Suez, 40% of European trade does. There is a real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it's necessary. The strongest reason to do this, as POTUS said, is to send a message. Now, the reason that should make Democrats happy is I thought Democrats were all worried that Donald Trump was surrounding himself with yes men. People who are only going to go along with what he says, and that's how he's going to become a dictator. That's how he's going to become an authoritarian. Does that text message right there not suggest that J.D. Vance is actually pushing back? Isn't that what we want in our government, for people to exchange ideas, for people to debate what is going to happen, so that way the best ideas come up to the top? Because you can have a great idea, but what if there's a pitfall? You can have a great idea, but what if there's a blind side in an issue that you're not seeing? This sort of pushback should be thrilling the media and the Democrats right now, but it gets in the way of their narrative. Next, J.D. Vance says, I'm not sure the president is aware of how inconsistent this message is. How inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices. I am willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there is a strong argument for delaying this a month, doing the messaging work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, etc. So again, you see this great exchange of ideas, and the fact that J.D. Vance is considering not just how appropriate these measures are, but how the public is going to receive what the Trump administration is doing, tells you that they really are focused on the American people. They really are focused on delivering for all of us. This isn't about consolidating power. This isn't about trying to hide their actions behind closed doors. This is about transparency, and I really love that exchange of ideas right there. And Hegseth actually responds in that first box. Hegseth tells J.D. Vance, I fully support you raising this with POTUS. And then in the second box, he pushes back on J.D. Vance and explains why he thinks it's best to take action right now. And basically, it boils down to he thinks it's about having the United States take leadership, showcasing that we are decisive and that we will stand by our allies and to our words. So I really appreciate that entire exchange of text messages right there. Now, Jeffrey Goldberg, in his Atlantic piece, actually did share screenshots, but again, none of this supports the idea that there was classified information or war plans. This is all just debating, and these texts to me, look at that right there from J.D. Vance. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Does this not show that their entire team is about America first? Pete Hegseth replies, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. SM right there refers to Stephen Miller. Mark supposedly is Marco Rubio. And so nothing strikes me as alarming. If anything, it's like, yeah, that's exactly what we elected. People to put America first, people to respond and prioritize what the American people want. I think it's all great. And then last but not least, Goldberg published responses, a reaction to the strikes. Now, what the media is freaking out about, what Democrats are freaking out about, is process. They're not focused on the results because this was a highly successful strike. But even their attacks on the process, even their attacks on whether or not this app, Signal, should have been used, is actually falling flat on its face. They're not hitting the notes they think they are. So earlier today, there was a Senate hearing, and Senator Warner lambasted Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe over why they were even using Signal in the first place, and he claimed that it was an unclassified system, but he's drawing a false conclusion here. Let's take a look.
It included weapons packages, targets, and timing, and included the name of an active CIA agent. Putting aside for a moment that classified information should never be discussed over an unclassified system, it's also just
Okay, yes, it is an unclassified system, but that is not the same thing as an unsecure system. It is an encrypted messaging app, and as I said earlier, again, according to Goldberg's own words, they were talking about going to their high side inboxes, so their classified computer and communication system. Again, I cannot emphasize that point enough. Why would they reference the high side inboxes if they were just texting classified information on Signal itself. Second of all, Signal is so widely used in Washington, D.C., both by politicians and journalists, that even Jasmine Crockett is on video saying, hey, I use this, everyone I know uses this, and you should use it too.
One day, and we have all these Signal chats. If you don't have Signal, get on Signal, okay? Do not trust that. Get on Signal, y'all.
Okay, Jasmine Crockett in her own words. But during this hearing today, John Ratcliffe actually made a startling revelation, which is that Signal was actually preloaded onto their government devices. Why? Because it's already been approved as a means to communicate these issues as long as it's not classified information.
So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was Signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. One of the things that I was briefed on very early, Senator, was by the CIA records management folks about the use of Signal as a permissible work use. It is. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Again, yeah, the Democrats are conflating a lot of issues here. The main issue is, number one, any classified information. Number two, whether it was war plans. But what the Democrats are trying to do is attack Signal itself, because that is the easiest pathway for them to attack the Trump administration. They are looking for whatever they can to actually get a hit, to pin the tail on the donkey, so to speak. Well, or in this case, an elephant. Because the Democrats are wandering in the wilderness. Right now, Trump is doing better than he ever has. His approval rating is through the roof. The number of Americans who think the country is going on the right track is through the roof. Meanwhile, the Democrats are polling at historic lows. So they are panicked right now. Again, this does not excuse how and why Jeffrey Goldberg was added to the chat. That was a mistake. That was an oversight. I'm not making an excuse for that, but this is definitely being blown out of proportion. On top of that, Signal can be used for record keeping, because guess what? Our government employees are supposed to keep track of their correspondence, and John Ratcliffe actually talked about it here.
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions that are made are also recorded through formal channels. Right. So those were procedures that were implemented. My staff implemented those processes, followed those processes, complied with those processes, and finally, just please. So my communications, to be clear, in a Signal message group were entirely permissible and lawful and did not include classified information.
Yeah, so that is the number one theme going on here, and I'll show you more clips. It's not just John Ratcliffe saying this. Tulsi Gabbard also confirmed that there was zero classified information in the text chain, and the reason that's important is because both Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe testified. All of this was said under oath. So they could get in a whole bunch of legal trouble if what they're saying is false. So the fact that two different people now of two different government agencies testified under oath saying the same thing. Jeffrey Goldberg's own article referred to high-side computers and systems. I mean, this is all adding up and is debunking the narrative that Jeffrey Goldberg is trying to push out there. Furthermore, if Signal is so bad, then why did the Clinton campaign and DNC decide to use it in 2016? So Democrats are saying, you know, they're making fun of this now because there was the whole controversy in 2016 about but her emails, right? And Democrats are saying, well, if you were upset about Hillary Clinton's emails then you should be upset about this. But they are missing the point. Again, like I'm hitting so many points home here repeatedly, but I cannot overemphasize no classified information, no war plans. But FBI sources, Hillary Clinton's server was hacked by at least 5 foreign intelligence agencies, 2 major federal probes ongoing. So not even the same situation as far as her emails go. There was actual damage there. By the way, her server was unsecured and unapproved, unlike Signal, which we have seen multiple times through this video has actually been approved. And then on top of that, the DNC used Signal itself. DNC staffers, according to Business Insider used Signal to encrypt messages, and it was actually Snowden approved. And on top of that, Vanity Fair, how the Clinton campaign is foiling the Kremlin. Staffers are now using a quote-unquote Snowden-approved app to hide Trump-related emails from hackers in Russia. So there you go. You have the entire DNC and Hillary Clinton campaign using Signal because it was approved and because they realized it was indeed secure. Now, as if all of this isn't enough, I do want to show you a clip of Tulsi Gabbard indeed saying under oath that no classified information was sent.
Your question was, have I participated in any other group chats sharing classified information? To be clear, I haven't participated in any Signal group messaging that relates to any classified information at all.
Okay. Director Gabbard?
Senator, I have the same answer. I have not participated in any Signal group chat or any other chat on another app that contained any classified information.
One of my favorite perspectives of this entire situation actually comes from CNN. So Scott Jennings had a brilliant defense and really puts everything into crystal clear perspective within the context of not just this administration, but everything going on since 2016. But before I get to that, I do want to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club, Allie, Shrimp Monster, and Glenda. Thank you so much. And Glenda, that was a super gracious super thanks. I appreciate all of you. Again, these are people who tip or do super thanks to support the channel. It quite literally makes these videos possible. So I appreciate all of that. Now, over on CNN, they actually were airing some truth. Scott Jennings was spinning some facts, and I just love this perspective and take on all of this.
All right, moments ago, Caitlin Collins was reporting on her show, Scott, that there is shock inside the White House that this chat was texted to Jeffrey Goldberg. Are you shocked?
Well, sure. I mean, it's a shocking thing, and they've admitted that it was a mistake and admitted that it's authentic. So they're owning up to it. I think they're still, based on what I've heard tonight, trying to figure out how it happened. I'm not sure the National Security Advisor, Walls, even knows Goldberg. In fact, I don't believe he knows him and has never met him. I did learn a few things in some of my conversations, if you're interested. One is that the Signal program was preloaded on a number of devices and agency computers in this circuit when they got there. So in their view, it was already in use. Number two, in some of the messages, they talk about needing to go to the high side computers, which is the classified system. So they clearly were knowing there was a line on what you could discuss in a chat like this versus classified system. Number three, there is a dispute over whether the term war plans is being exaggerated. And number four, look, I love the policy. It's well executed. You've got a thoughtful policy discussion going on. And we did what the Biden administration would not do, stop these people from harassing our shipping lanes and our boats and our Navy. So good on the Trump administration for reversing a bad policy.
So a wild triumph. And I will note that Pete Hegseth does not agree with you that it's all authentic. He went in and attacked Jeffrey Goldberg and said
a few things wrong with, well, first of all, yes, again, I agree with everything Scott Jennings said, but the CNN host right there, just absolutely, of course, CNN's going to do what CNN does, right? He sarcastically said, a wild triumph. Well, that's not what Scott Jennings was referring to. Scott Jennings, the wild triumph he was referring to was the actual strike, the actual mission itself. And so for CNN to spin that as if he was talking about the Signal controversy is ridiculous. Number two, Pete Hegseth never said what that CNN host was claiming he said. Now, a lot of Democrats and media were attacking Pete Hegseth for this next clip I'm about to show you. And it is true that Hegseth used an ad hominem fallacy. Basically, he was attacking the person rather than the argument itself. However, the reason he did that is because Jeffrey Goldberg has a history of lying. He has a history of fabricating stories. Is that not important context as to whether or not we should trust this story he's trying to peddle and push out there right now? Personally, I think it's important. I think that throws shade and doubt on the story we're getting from Goldberg. So in his own words, this is what Hegseth said.
Can you share how your information about war plans against the Houthis in Yemen was shared with a journalist in The Atlantic? And were those details classified?
You're talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence. We will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The NSC said it was authentic.
The texts were authentic, but those aren't war plans. There's a very different, like, I don't understand what they're not getting. Saying, like, they were, if you read the text, and which I showed earlier, they almost read as if they were cliff notes or bullet points from like a school board meeting. Like saying that, okay, this plan is in place, that plan's in place. That is not a war plan. It was basically a summary. It was coordination. And again, they referenced the high side computers. Why do that if they were indeed texting confidential war plans in the thread on Signal? Like, hello, it's not that difficult to comprehend. Well, Jeffrey Goldberg went on a podcast, and he was actually pushed by a left-leaning activist and Democrat operative, Tim Miller, about why he won't just release the text himself. And to me, it really seems like, if I'm just, I'm not a body language expert, but I would like to think I have a good read on just people in general, and it really feels like he's hiding something here.
Now the Secretary of Defense and the White House press secretary have said you're lying, have said there are no war plans there, have said there's no classified information. So the obvious question is, shouldn't you now demonstrate it? Shouldn't you publish the text?
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
But how can you prove that you're wrong? Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate Special Committees on Intelligence, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Give it to them.
Wow. Well, you want to become my lawyer?
I'm throwing this out there, Jeff. I don't know. I mean, look, the White House press secretary an hour ago said
I feel like no. I mean, I obviously, let me just put it this way: my colleagues and I, and the advice that and the people who are giving us advice on this have some interesting conversations to have about this.
Yeah.
But just because they're irresponsible with material doesn't mean that I'm going to be irresponsible with this material. And you know what? I could, whatever. I mean, you've had a long history, as I have, with dealing with them. And at moments like this, when they're under pressure because they've been caught with their hand in the cookie jar or whatever, they will just literally say anything to get out of the moment, to get out of the jam.
Okay, like, he doesn't want to be irresponsible. I don't think that giving it to an oversight committee in either the House or the Senate is irresponsible. You're actually giving it from one branch of the government to another branch of the government. Like, he sure may be concerned about legal implications for himself, but he can afford an attorney, or the Atlantic can afford an attorney. And if there is indeed wrongdoing, like, shouldn't he be protected in all of this? I mean, there are like whistleblower laws, and I get he's not technically a whistleblower, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? Like, if there actually was something to this, half the country, the Democrats, would be behind him 100%. He would have people rooting for him. He would definitely have a legal defense fund. But it is interesting that he's not willing. I mean, he ran straight to the Atlantic to publish screenshots, to publish text messages without anyone's approval. And now he's not willing to go to a government oversight committee and say, hey, here are the texts. They're lying. Really makes you wonder. On top of that, he says they start talking about a covert CIA operative and how he didn't publish that information because, he's just concerned about her safety. Oh, oops. Did you just reveal it's a she and not a he? How many she's do you think are in the CIA? I think you narrowed down the field a lot, Goldberg. Way to go.
There's a covert CIA operative named on the thread, right? So, I mean,
well, yes. And I withheld her name from this. They named somebody who's an active CIA officer in this thread, which is on Signal, again, a commercial app in which I'm watching. And I withheld it. I didn't put it in the story because she's undercover. But I mean, the CIA director put it into the chat.
Well, way to let the entire world know it's a she. I mean, not the smartest cookie in the jar, if we're using that analogy, and cookies aren't very smart to my knowledge. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That is what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So does this thing smell as fishy to you as it does to me? Like, so many things don't add up. Number one, how was Jeffrey Goldberg added? Number two, why was Mike Waltz texting him so much or enough that his being Jeffrey's number was easily accessible to the app? Or was it just there from the government device that was passed down? A lot of this doesn't seem to add up. And I'm not sure. You know, I don't like theorizing too much because I don't want to be labeled a conspiracy theorist or something like that. But I'm just wondering, does something feel off about this to you as well? And then as well as the analysis, what are your thoughts on the rest of that? I know it's really open-ended, but this is such a big story that it's hard to narrow it down to just one question. I'm sure everyone has a lot of thoughts, and I'm excited to read them and share them. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.